Sunday Alliance in Europe, Sunday Alliance in America are beginning to say we need a rest.
Oh yeah,
We
they're
need a
saying
rest.
that all
We need a
over.
rest. And of course, many of us believe that that will come down to the state forcing a day of rest. Some people don't want a day off. I need to keep earning money. And that's a topic for another study. All right, one other interesting thing here, back in Genesis 2, we don't see any command there for Adam and Eve to rest on the Sabbath. You know, and some people argue, well, that's a sign that God never really ever told them that, or not until Sinai or something. But when you look back through Genesis 1, then God called, God said, God said, God said, God said, God made, God said, God said, God said. Seems to me the first chapter is all about God. So Adam and Eve were created on the 6th day. And so when the 7th day came, God rested. He didn't tell Adam and Eve to rest. Had they done anything?
No.
They'd just been created.
He was the one that was working, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
He was the one that made everything. So he rested. And he set an example for them, right? He couldn't command them to rest. He couldn't give them the 4th commandment on this first Sabbath because it says 6 days shalt thou labor. They hadn't done a thing. Now the next Sabbath, they had 6 days to work, and God gave them work, right?
They were taking care of the garden.
Yep. So they worked 6 days, and now you need to rest. So Adam and Eve started following Christ's example, God's example that was set on the first Sabbath. They started that on the second Sabbath. Now,
So I wonder though on the Sabbath that God rested, since Adam and Eve were created, if they spent it with God.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sure they did too.
of course, everything was made by him and
For him.
for him. Yeah.
And everything in front of them was brand new.
Yeah.
Well, and like Ruth said, man has a special relationship with God that other created things don't have. So I don't have any doubt that they spent that first Sabbath
No,
together.
me neither.
And they
Can
were
you
watching,
imagine they're like asking all kinds of questions?
and they watched God rest, and he showed them how to keep the Sabbath. It's interesting, just as kind of a sidelight, the Israelites knew about the Sabbath and God's commandments before Sinai, before Exodus 20.
Right, when the manna.
In Exodus 16.
Well, even Abraham, like in Genesis chapter 26, verse 5. I mean, it don't say but exactly the words, but a lot of people say, well, the law wasn't until Sinai, and it says, 26 verse 5, because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, and my statutes, and my laws. How many years was that before the 10 Commandments were even written in stone?
Right. Right.
He knew God's laws. They knew God's commandments.
And you see other instances when things happen, like when Cain killed Abel. He knew it was wrong to kill.
Yeah.
That's right.
So there was a law there
Yeah.
that it was wrong to kill.
He wouldn't have been guilty then, huh? That there was no law.
Right. There would have been no reason to get after him for it otherwise.
Well, if God never changes, then the 10 Commandments that he spoke on Sinai were already in place.
Right.
That wasn't new.
No, it wasn't. It's just that for some reason he had to make a written contract with him.
So is the Sabbath of any concern to us today? Should we really be debating this? Shouldn't we all be Christian brothers and just, hey, whenever you want to worship, that's fine?
If we are Christian brothers, we will tell our Christian brothers and sisters the truth that we know, because it can be a salvational issue. And if we love them, we have to. Even if it hurts, we have to,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's out of love.
good point. It's one of the 10 Commandments, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember the Sabbath day
Mhm.
to keep it holy.
The one that, remember, the only one that says remember.
Who were these commandments spoken to?
They were
Israel.
Yeah.
Were they exclusively for Israel?
No.
No, but they were the ones that God had brought out of Egypt to be his special people. And he wanted to make sure they knew that. And he had told Abraham that through your line, all nations of the earth will be blessed.
Ah,
And Israel would not be able to be a blessing if they didn't know what God wanted of them.
Yeah. They were to be example. They were to be like Christ was when Christ came, example to the heathen nations what God was like.
so I was like this in heaven. That's why Lucifer was kicked out, because this is my law, and he wasn't following it.
Mhm.
It was like this in the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve had another God that they
Mhm.
listened to. Somebody else
Mhm.
they listened to. They broke the commandment. Cain broke it. My commandments have always been here. Man has had trouble with them. I'm going to trust them. I'm going to give them to you so you can go tell everybody else, everybody around you, what I'm like
Mm-hmm.
and how to be like me, so that we can get back to what I wanted in Eden. We
Mhm.
can all live together forever in heaven, in paradise.
Because, like, I wish I would have brought it. I wasn't even thinking, but there was this thing that I had that had all the dillies in the Bible talking about the Sabbath. I mean, talking about God's law, His commandments.
Mhm.
Then the same characteristics are for God, the
Mhm.
same for His law. So, in order for us to really love God, we can't hate His law, because in all reality, we're hating God.
That's right.
Everything in his law is for our good.
Mm.
If,
And it's His character.
if
it's
you
Him.
just try to imagine what the world would be like if everybody kept this law, it'd be a totally different place than it is now.
No, yeah, totally different.
So, who do these 10 Commandments apply to?
To all.
Do only 9 of them apply to everyone?
All 10.
And the 4th just applies to the Jews?
Well, wouldn't you go to, what is it, Matthew 5 verse 8, or where is it, Matthew?
5:17.
Yeah,
17,
5:17.
Is that the one you're looking for?
Yeah, that's totally the one through and I love this. And how can you fight against it? Think not that I've come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. Then I love 19. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. And one of the least, and I don't think the Sabbath would even be one of the least, do you? Because it's the 4 that contain to God, and if you
I
love
think
Him.
it's the anchor. I think it's the anchor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's interesting, Jesus positioned it right at the end of our commitment to Jesus, how we show our love to Jesus
Mm.
and show our love to our fellow man.
Yeah.
Who was Christ talking to when he said, keep my commandments?
He was talking to the Israelites specifically, but to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They were to show the world His commandments.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be the light, the priests, the nation of priests that were to.
yeah. In fact, he's speaking to everybody when he says, if you love me,
Keep my commandments.
keep my commandments. Some people will argue that when Jesus says, there in Matthew 5:17, I did not come to destroy but to fulfill, that by that he's saying,
He fulfilled it on the cross.
I
Well,
fulfill him on the cross. You don't have to worry about the law anymore.
so then, I
And-
mean, has heaven or earth passed?
No, but there's a text that may help us with this fulfill thing. Does they really then do away with them? Because I now fulfill the commandments. I'm now living the commandments in front of you. So don't worry about the commandments anymore. And that's over in John 3, verse 15. Now this is when Jesus came to John to be baptized. And Jesus came down there and said, John, you need to baptize me. And what did John say?
I need to be
No,
baptized
no,
by you.
no, wait a minute. John recognized him as the Messiah. He said, what are you talking about? Ruth, what does verse 15 say there? John 3.
John 3, verse 15. Whoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life.
I'm sorry, Matthew.
Oh, Matthew. Okay.
I'm
Helps
sorry.
helps if I'm in the right book here.
I'm in the right book because I'm looking at my notes. But
Matthew 3:15.
I'm sorry.
But Jesus answered and said to him, Permit it to be so now, for thus it is fitting for us to fulfill all righteousness. And then he allowed him.
So here they're talking about fulfilling all righteousness. Did that do away with righteousness then when Jesus was baptized? No, and neither did
Jesus came to be perfectly righteous because we can't. But
he-
that doesn't mean we just say, throw that out the window.
When he came to fulfill the law, it was not to do away with the law, it was to show how you live this.
And yeah, he was our example, exactly. And that's what the Jewish nation was supposed to be to the rest of the world.
There were a lot in the Jewish nation who still had it right, but their leaders didn't.
I just don't understand how people can think that the law's been done away with, when if it weren't for the breaking of the law, Jesus would not have had to die.
No. Because the law demands death.
Yeah.
And God so loved us, he didn't want us to
Sin
die.
demands death, and it just, it doesn't make sense to me how you can think that the law would ever be done away with.
You know,
If that could have been the case, then Jesus could have just said, well, we're going to do away with the law, then you're not guilty, so... And
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
No, yeah, and exactly, it couldn't. And it had to be God who came down here to be in our place.
Our
to be able-
perfect sacrifice.
Yeah.
Now, God doesn't change. There are a lot of verses that tell us that. Malachi 3:6, Hebrews 13:8, Numbers 23:19, and Isaiah 40, verse 8. So, God made these commandments. He doesn't change, so they're still in force. Jesus, God in human form, he's not going to change them. He said, I didn't come to change them. If fulfilling was doing away with them, then he wouldn't tell people don't break them. And don't teach other people to break them.
Well, you got tons of everything through the New Testament that says it, like in 1 John chapter 2, verse 3. And hereby we do know that we know him, if we keep his commandments. He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments, is a liar, and the truth is not in him.
The evidence that we know God is the fact that we live according to his commandments.
Right.
Yeah.
Some people will say, well, God gave us new commandments. In Matthew 22 and verse 40, Jesus is being asked here by one of the scribes, a lawyer, saying, what's the great commandment in the law? What law is being referred to there?
The commandments, the Ten Commandments.
And Jesus said to him, this is verse 37, we're getting down to 40. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets.
And he's right. On those
And-
two.
So is this really a new commandment here?
No, it's not, because the first one he's quoting from Deuteronomy, and the second one he's quoting from Leviticus. So this was already known way back in the Old Testament.
So he's summarizing them, right?
And the
Right.
two.
Now he didn't say the first four,
Yeah.
love the Lord your God as the first four say, and love your neighbor as the last six say.
Now, it might have made our job easier. maybe not. I don't know.
Now over in John, and we really are going to be in John this time. Sorry about that last one. So John 13:34. And Ricky, when you get that, if you could read it. John 13:34.
Okie dokie. 13:34. A new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another, as I have loved you, that ye also love one another.
So is this a commandment that had never been spoken before?
No.
No. So what's new about it? I'll tell you what hit me. A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. That part's not new. As I have loved you. Ooh, wait a minute.
Now that's...
When he said it before over there in Matthew, he said, love your neighbor as yourself. Now he said, you gotta go a little further than that.
Yeah.
You gotta love your neighbor, love one another, as I have loved you.
That's some deep love.
And verse 35 goes on, by this, all will know that you are my disciples, if you have one love for one another. So again, to love each other is to give evidence that we are connected to Jesus.
And love each other as much as Jesus loved us.
Right.
And he loved us enough to die for us.
Mm-hmm.
He gave up heaven to die for us.
Well, then, also like in 1 John 2:7, it says, Brethren, I write no new commandment unto you, but an old commandment, which ye had from the beginning. The old commandment is the word which you have heard from the beginning.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah.
Hopefully I'm not stealing any of these.
No, you're doing great. Romans 6, and we don't want to read that whole chapter, but boy, is Romans good, and Romans 6 is especially good. But here's what Paul has to say about it. You need to die to sin. You need to get rid of all that stuff because we're under grace.
Yeah.
And that means, that's kind of like, what does it mean you don't have to obey the law? It means that Jesus died for you, and his grace is sufficient now for your death. You don't have to pay your own penalty for death. And he goes on to say there, is it because we're under grace, is it okay to keep sinning? Now, what is sin?
Transgression of the law.
What law?
The Ten Commandments.
So Paul says, okay, we're under grace, so can we go on sinning? No, you got to stop sinning. And that's part of the everlasting gospel.
That's a part of the sanctification that we're going through.
Anybody listening, if you haven't seen the first angel's message, the study on the everlasting gospel, go back and look at that.
It's because it is good news because we are sentenced to death. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's just the Lord is good because we all sinned.
In the everlasting gospel, it's not just about Christ's death. It's about him changing us.
Yeah.
And it's about his resurrection.
And that's what Paul is saying here in chapter 6 of Romans is stop it. You don't have to pay your penalty for your sin. You have grace that covers that. But stop doing it. You got to change. You got to be born again.
We're supposed to be dead to sin, he says in verse 11.
Yeah. Now, just a quick word about the covenant, because we could spend a few hours on the covenant. God made an everlasting covenant with Abraham and his seed. And that split into the old covenant and the new covenant. Those are both part of the everlasting covenant.
Mm-hmm.
The old covenant was looking forward to the cross, seeing all these sacrifices and sanctuary service and all that kind of stuff. The new covenant, I'm going to write this in your heart now, and we look back at the cross of Jesus. We don't go through all those ceremonies and all that stuff anymore because Jesus paid it. And that's how the everlasting covenant was split into two parts. The new covenant is not one of, there's no more law, you're free to do whatever you want to do.
No.
I died for you, so wear it out. No.
Because there is still a sanctuary going on, though. I mean, it just moved from the earth to the heavens. It's still happening. Right. And that's for us when we sin so it's still happening.
So the new covenant did not do away with the Ten Commandments, did not do away with the Sabbath. Back in Exodus 31, Exodus 31, verse 17. It is a sign between me, it's talking about the Sabbath, it is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. Well, that says the Sabbath there is for the children of Israel. Who makes up spiritual Israel today?
Paul says anyone who believes in Christ is a child of Abraham.
Yep.
And all of the promises to Abraham apply to those who have accepted Jesus.
Exactly. Let's go back to Galatians 3. We'll look at 3 different texts here that kind of talk about this. So in Galatians 3, verse 7, it says, "Therefore know that only those who are of faith are sons of Abraham." So this is no longer speaking about blood. I'm in the line of Abraham. I'm in the lineage of Abraham by blood. It's saying that those who are of faith are sons of Abraham. Go down to verse 16. Now, there's a lot of good stuff in between these verses. I'm just trying to be a little efficient with our time. Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He does not say into seeds, plural, as of many, but as of one.
Mm-hmm.
And to your seed, who is Christ. So it's like, well, these promises were then made to Christ and Abraham. So they say, well, see there, it doesn't apply to me. I'm not seed of Abraham. I'm talking about Jesus. Well, if you go to verse 29 of Galatians 3, it kind of puts everything together here.
Yeah, amen.
And if you are Christ's, if you belong to Christ, who belongs to Christ?
All who claim him. Oh, we all do, but...
Yeah, but those who claim him, right? We are Christ's children when we, by this they shall know you're my disciples, right? If you love me, keep my commandments. If you are Christ, then you are Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. So this promise in Exodus 31:17, a sign between me and the children of Israel forever, it was a nation for a while, and that's a great study in prophecy up until the stoning of Stephen. And then Israel was no longer a chosen people. Now we're talking, from that point forward, we talk about spiritual Israel, and anybody who is of faith, anybody who claims Christ, is
a
Abraham's
spiritual
seed.
Jew. No, we're a spiritual Jew, is what
And
we
this
are.
promise in Exodus 31:17 says that the Sabbath is a sign between, now I'm paraphrasing, putting this in modern terms, spiritual Israel. It's a sign between me and the children of the Lord. A sign between me and Christians, because Christians claim God, claim his name, forever. How long is forever?
Eternity.
So there's all kinds of forevers, though. Because like when Jonah was in the belly of the whale.
It seems like
Yeah. And when they put the all through the slave's ear, he was to be a servant forever, but you know he can't be a servant after he dies.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You know, Deuteronomy 5:29 talks about how long the Lord wants us to keep his commandments. And Ricky, when you get there, Deuteronomy 5:29.
Okay. Oh, that there were such an heart in them that they would fear me and keep all my commandments always, that it might be well with them and with their children forever.
Keep how many commandments? 9?
All of them.
All
Keep
of them.
all. For how long?
Always.
Always. And if they do, it'll be good. How long?
Forever.
And forever is a long time.
Yeah. This forever, I think, is forever.
Sabbath was not just for the Jews. Sabbath was for all of us. The commandments are for all of us. They're still in force. They're still in place. Isaiah 56:6 and 7 tells us Also the sons of the stranger that join themselves to the Lord, to serve him and to love the name of the Lord, to be his servants. Everyone that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and taking hold of my covenant, even them will I bring to my holy mountain, and make them joyful in my house of prayer, and their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon mine altar. For mine house shall be called a house of prayer for all people.
Are you going to do Isaiah 66?
Uh-uh. Oh, yeah. Verse 23?
22 through, yeah.
Yeah, read them both.
Okay. For as the new heavens and the new earth which I will make shall remain before me, saith the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord.
And that's talking about heaven and the new
talking
earth.
about heaven.
That's, here to come, the Sabbath.
So everyone in heaven will be keeping the Sabbath. Whose Sabbath is that?
God's.
God's Sabbath. Which day of the week is that?
The seventh.
The seventh. Seventh day of the week. You know, in Matthew 24, when Christ is talking about the end of the world and what's going on, and you're going to have to flee, you're going to have to leave. He says, pray that your flight not be in the winter, neither on the
Sabbath
day.
Sabbath day.
And that was,
So obviously the Sabbath will still apply at the end of time.
And
The
that was
Sabbath will
talking about something that was going to be 70 years after he left the earth.
Yeah.
So we know that in those 70 years, the Sabbath was still in force just by what he said.
Yeah.
So if it
And
was,
that also has an application to the end of time when all
Yeah.
those things are going to be repeated. And it's going to be kept in heaven. What's all the confusion about? Clearly the Sabbath was made at creation. It was made for man. It was made for man forever. It's one of the commandments. The commandments are still in force. We're still expected to obey them.
It points to God as the creator of heaven and earth.